Hey guys, Chris here from the Batch Universe. So today I wanted to analyze a poem that I read in a book called Staying Alive. Actually, it's the first book of a trilogy called the Staying Alive trilogy. And in these books, you have a lot of poems from a lot of different writers. And I think it's really good because with this kind of books, with this poetry trilogy, you can discover a lot of poets and see what you like, what you don't like, because you're obviously gonna find quite a lot here. You're gonna find people really well known, such as Robert Frost, other poets, and other poets that you don't know, and maybe you're gonna really like one poem and think, okay, I need to buy books from this poet. So actually, the funny thing is that not so long ago I was in a bookshop in Amsterdam called Waterstone, actually, which is I think a chain of bookstores, an English chain of bookstores. It's really nice because you have a lot of different floors with different books and stuff like that. No, it's closed because of the regulations, which is a pity. But I bought two of the collection. I'm gonna buy the third one at some point. But at someone, I was in that store and I opened that book, and the first poem I saw was called Apologia, and I wanted to read that poem to you, and I wanted to explain to you what I find really interesting in that poem. So the poem is Apologia from Connie Bensley. I hope I pronounced the name properly because you know that English is not my language. So, Apologia. My life is too dull and too careful. Even I can see that. The orderly bedside table, the spoiled cat. Surely I should have been bolder. What could biographers say? She got up, ate toast, and went shopping, day after day. Whiskey and gin are alarming. Ecstasy makes you drop dead. Toy boys make inroads on cash, and you're half off the bed. Emily Dickinson, Emily Dickinson, help me. Stevie, look up from your aunt. Some people can't. Some people can stand excitement. Some people can't. Okay, that's a poem. Maybe I should read it another time because I stumble a bit upon my words. Um, so why I chose that poem and why I wanted to read it to you today? It's actually because I found the subject really interesting. I found a subject that she's actually kind of apologizing for having a really dull and boring life and for not having a lot of things to say about her life. And I found it really interesting because a lot of the time when you actually analyze the life of the different poets or different artists, you will see a lot of people are being drug addict or having a problem with their parents or criminality and blah blah blah, and very interesting life that people, oh, this guy was a drug addict and blah blah blah, so he knows what he's talking about, and you're gonna read his poems or you're gonna hear his song or his painting, and it's gonna talk about being a drug addict, and it's gonna be really interesting. And when you hear these kind of stories and you don't have actually these kind of stories to tell, you feel like, okay, my life is not very interesting. I just go shopping every day. I just go on with my life and there's nothing to say. But that's the reason why I think this poem is interesting, is because as a poet, it doesn't matter, what your reality is. There are so many different types of reality. Maybe somebody has tons of relationship in his or her life. Somebody has absolutely none. Maybe somebody went traveling all around the world, or somebody was stuck in a prison all of his life or her life. And those are different realities that you can convey through the words of poetry. And that means that no matter what your reality is, you can always communicate it. And that's as an artist, it doesn't matter. Your reality is your reality, your art is your art, and actually it's going to communicate to somebody. It has been chosen in a collection of poetry. So it means that this poem has a certain value, and you don't need to have a crazy life to be an artist, Personally, I kind of recognize myself in the past, not this last few years, and I don't think my future is going to be like that because I'm aiming in another direction. But in the past, I had that feeling. That's the reason why this poem communicated to me. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to say. And the last thing I wanted to say about what I find interesting in poetry and in these books is that actually the words that you see in a poem, they are not, in my opinion, the poem itself. Like the words are just the door, and they are the doors leading to another world, which is actually the poem itself. You know, the pictures you're gonna have in your mind, the reality that the person is gonna communicate to you, and the imaginations you're gonna have, or the feelings that the poems are gonna inspire you. And that's what I find really interesting in poetry, and I wanted to end on that. And yeah, I think you should, if you like poetry, you should really consider buying those books. They're really great. And in the meantime, have a great day.